Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Norman. I'm going to be doing a commentary for you guys over Battlefield 3 today. I did a little bit of editing for the gameplay, so that's why it's a little bit shortened down. You guys will see towards the end. I think I happened to take off almost 5 minutes, if I am correct, or something of that assortment. So I was pretty satisfied, but hopefully you guys will be within that same category. I took off a lot of the running stuff and just a standard issue, how I always cut up Battlefield 3, but for some reason I guess I'm explaining it. So anyway, with needless to say the least, guys, I'm going to jump into the main selected topic for the video, and then from there we will hopefully hit the end of the video, but only time will tell in that category. So, as you guys would expect, I'm going to kind of be talking about Battlefield 3, my overall playstyle, and the way I've adapted, or I guess come into acknowledgement of how I play. And my playstyle is pretty much nothing new, but it is definitely not something where I was probably, 2 years ago, or 3 years, I guess you could put in that category. But I came from a historical background of Call of Duty, and then I jumped into SOCOM Confrontation, which was a game that required a lot of patience. So I guess if you want to put it in that context and you want to basically take out key snippets of wording, more or less you have to be a camper. You had to acknowledge the ability to be patient. You had to take a lot of coordinates and a lot of information and to kind of, pride your attack or have the ability to acknowledge what was about to occur. If you guys have not played SOCOM, the multiplayer side of it for Confrontation was very difficult. It definitely was not very noob-friendly, and I remember jumping in that it was definitely harder than Call of Duty. If you were a Call of Duty guy and you just tried to jump in there and thought you were going to be badass, unfortunately you were going to get raped every single time. It was search and destroy. 90% of the game was, you had one life per round, and that's what the game was. Now there were, of course, respawn servers. You could, just spawn as much as you wanted. The objectives were kind of second thought, and everyone just kind of spawn raped. It was the key definition to spawn trapping at its time. It was a lot of fun. I'm definitely not going to be like, oh, I didn't do any of that. I had a clan back then, and I was not, of course, the leader, but there was like 150 guys in this thing. It was pretty serious, and a lot of them were everyday players. They played every day, 9 to 12 hours, which to some people is crazy. For me, that's really nothing. I mean, I play that much pretty much on a consecutive basis. Maybe you want to build up your hypothesis and be like, oh, you must be overweight, you don't know what life is, you don't know what outside even looks like, and to that I say that comment is ignorant, because that's what it is. That's a perception of, key instruments that people want to generate. Of course, that's a part of reality, and everyone has their perception and their opinions, but I guess you can't control stupidity at its finest, so I guess that's all I got to say for you. But anyway, guys, my key, command to what I'm trying to announce and give you guys for a selected topic would be that SOCOM, of course, was a game of patience, and that's where I adopted this playstyle of sit back and then move forward. It would be kind of a realistic thing. If you look at the military today, you don't just have them balls deep running in a line like Revolutionary War. That doesn't exist anymore. We don't really do that kind of stuff. Now, of course, going into topics selected of the military, of course, on online is definitely a lot of perceptions. Everyone wants to give their input on it, but the overall tactics are more defensive than aggressive when it comes to the military. That can be video games, that can be real life, that can be whatever you want it to be, but, usually attack force doesn't just go, yep, we are going to be the offense, we're going to storm the beaches of whatever. You look at World War II, for example, probably not their brightest moments, marching thousands of U-boats up onto the shore, getting absolutely annihilated by MG Nest. You know what I'm trying to say there? Just the key components don't exactly add up like that anymore, so a lot of the defensive roles, a lot of the stealth tactics and things implemented by video games, which are more or less the impression of military tactics of today, that's kind of where you go from. That's kind of what the game, in my eyes, I guess you could say, would be the perception or the hintation of what's going to occur. So, with I guess all that said, I don't know why I had to redefine my reasoning, but I figured somebody in the comments will always be interesting, needless to say the least. So, anyway, as I'm trying to basically announce that it may be Call of Duty, it may be Battlefield, and it could be whatever game's on the horizon. Halo's a little different because I'm not exactly good in Halo. Like, I understand the fundamentals of it, but I'm not a quote-unquote MLG pro. Like, I don't understand the movements exactly because I don't play it a lot. Like, of course I post videos of it from time to time, but that doesn't mean anything when I don't understand, like, the ability, how high you can jump, the ability to strafe, the strafing movements, the overall speed at which your character moves, is there penalties for selected weapons, that kind of stuff I don't know. Call of Duty, we're all accustomed to. We know the 95% rule, the mobility rates, all that good stuff. And that's why Call of Duty is a lot easier to pick up than a game like Battlefield or Halo. Now, am I saying that there's less skill there? Of course not. Every game has its MLG status, quota, I guess you could say, but definitely for a beginner standpoint, Call of Duty is going to be easier for people to jump into than a game like Halo or SOCOM or Battlefield, whatever. And it's just kind of how it is. I mean, of course, you have a different opinion. Maybe you're the exception to the rule like everyone claims to be. I don't know. That's something, I guess, to be announced. But anyway, I'm going to go back onto my perception of my movements and all that kind of stuff. And, I guess you could say that I'm a lot more defensive. I have always been a kill-death player. And I know everyone wants to put their input on that. They're like, oh, stats don't matter. To that, I would very, very aggressively disagree. I think stats are redefining of your character, how you play, and if you're a consistent player. Of course, if you have a 6 kill death ratio, you're probably going to be pretty consistent. Otherwise, it's not going to be 6 kill death. It's going to be lower. I mean, that's just kind of the consistency scale. Of course, that can mean different things like, oh, you play with a team, or you're just a beast. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. If I saw a 6 kill death ratio in a lobby, there's a good chance I'm not staying around to find out how hurt my ass can get from the lobby. But that's just me. Of course, I like playing against players that are slightly less experienced, of course. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. I mean, you don't want to, go balls deep into a game and be like, this is going to be awful. This is not going to be fun. Of course, there's people that like that. That's why game battles exist. That's why MLG exists. That's why all those tournaments exist, because that's kind of the point. But when it comes down to it, I guess you could say I've always been a more defensive character. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I sit in a corner. That doesn't exist in my book. Everyone wants to, poke like hints at, oh, you're a camper. Well, it's like, no, not really. I mean, I don't think I ever sat in a corner in my life hoping that somebody would come around the corner. I may position myself in a key, position and know that somebody's going to come there, and I have the hintation or the ability of acknowledgement to be like, oh yeah, there's going to be a guy coming around, this side of the map or this hallway or whatever. I'm locking down key corridors because that's what good players do. If you disagree, I mean, look at free-for-all, for example. How many people are just constantly running in circles? Wouldn't it make more sense to take the map, divide it by 4, and say, hey, this is my quadrant? That makes a lot more sense because you're locking down the spawn points within the region. You're more acknowledged in where they could spawn, the movement of your character, and the ability for yourself to position yourself to win the gunfight. That's why you're controlling the engagement, as Woody would say. And that's where a lot of the hintation comes from, where that's where I try to come from. That's why a lot of my movements and, Battlefield are a lot more aggressive at the beginning. But once I get up to a key position, it's like, hey, don't be stupid. Don't just run to their base and give them your whole body and be like, hey, you guys want me to wear pink real quick and say, hey, I'm right here? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Call of Duty, for the same examples. You want to move around the map, you want to keep to the sides of the map. You don't go in the middle of the map and like, hey, nobody's going to see me here. That's not how it works. That's not a realistic standpoint, and that's not exactly how people should look at a game. Halo, of course, as different as it is, it's a lot more key-based around the weapon that you're using. If you have a rocket launcher, of course, you're probably going to win a lot of gunfights. But if you have a DMR or a battle rifle, you kind of want to stay away from the middle, shoot people that go to the middle, because you'll have unexperienced players that are just a little bit more keen on that whole, I don't even know, I guess I couldn't say, but they're just a lot more objective-based. Maybe the objective is in the middle, you pick them off, then you go to the middle and secure the area. It's just kind of how it works, and that's how I've always played. That's why my stats are so much greater than, I guess you could say, my competition. And the reason I say competition is, like, if you look at my friends list, good chance most people are not anywhere near my stats. Now, of course, I'm not going to say stats are the complete definition of your character, but they do mean something. If people want to agree or disagree, that's completely up to you, but in my perception, I'm going to say that they mean a lot more than what people give them credit for. Now, am I saying people on my friends list are bad? No, not at all. I have people that are so much more objective-based than myself, which is just amazing, because that means, 1 and 1 equal 2. It's great. But anyway, guys, that's my perception. That's how I view it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next installment. And I presume, my troll's going to come back in this video. So, without further ado, I'm going to sign off. Peace.